Hey folks, thanks for joining me today. So in today's tutorial, we're going to be painting a fox, and we're going to be painting it on mold number 3 from the Happy Dotting Company. And I make the mold and then I let it dry for about a week to 2 weeks, sometimes longer. And then I give it 1 to 2 coats of black as my base coat. And I use DecoArt. You can purchase it at Michael's or Hobby Lobby, even dollar stores or discount stores. Um, so I buy that and I use that as my base coat. The majority of my rocks I paint black because I really like how I can get the detail, and it looks so good once it's resined with having the black background. Um, so then I like to play around with my backgrounds that are going on top of that black. So I used Delta Blueberry. And as the background, I just add a little bit of white just to make it lighter at the top. And then as I go down the rock, it becomes dark. Then you would have seen me use the toothbrush dipped into some white paint, and I just use my thumbnail and I rub it across the tooth or the bristles on the toothbrush, and it gives all of these little flecks. Some are bigger than others, and it really gives you a quick visual of a starry sky. And that's what I was going for. I didn't want too much going on in the background because I really wanted this little fox to be the focal point of the rock. So with it being a mold number 3, it's smaller than my normal rocks, but I was able to get all of the detail that I wanted onto this little guy. So I was very, very happy with the way that he turned out. And I'm glad that you're with me to go along on this journey. So a rock like this would normally take me about an hour to paint from start to finish, and that includes drying time. And I've been able to bring this to you by condensing it into a 20-minute little package so that you can see what I'm doing as well. You watched me do the background and everything that I've already talked about. Then I went in with my General's charcoal pencil and I sketched it on. Doesn't necessarily mean I'm going to follow that sketch, but I like to have the sketch on there so that I have an idea of at least proportion. And that's what I did here. So then I went in with some white paint, and I know I'm going to have to do another coat, maybe 2, because it's going over top of a dark background. So I know that I'm going to have to do some more painting on that for the white. So I wasn't too worried about the brush strokes that are showing right now because they will disappear once I go back in. I'm going to sponge it out with the second coat of the white paint. And that way I get a more even coverage and it looks a lot better, more like a feathered look, or in this case, a furry look. So then I go and I use, this is the Poppy Orange from Delta. And I go in and I use it to fill in the whole thing. It's almost like coloring in a coloring book, I guess. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just coloring it all in with this poppy orange, and that gives me the dark base that I want to start with, because I will be adding some more variations of orange just to give him that the lights and the darks, to give him that 3D look. And that's how you do it. That's kind of one of the tricks. I mean, this is a flat surface, or it's semi-flat. It's it's an art stone, but it's not 3D. So what I'm painting is not 3D, is what I should say. But I got to make them look 3D. So that's what I'm doing by using lighter colors and blending, using the light colors and the dark colors against each other so that you have light sources and you have shadows. And it really gives that illusion that it is 3D. So there's a lot of blending in this video. I'm terribly sorry if you don't like blending, but in order to get the result that I wanted, that's what I had to do, was a lot of blending. So, and with acrylic paint, it dries fairly quickly, so you've got to work quickly as well. So here I am doing the sponging or using a blending brush actually that I made just to put the paint on there, the white paint. It goes on thicker and it really covers up all those brush strokes. So you don't see any of that. You don't see the background anymore. But it only worked this way because I had painted the white background already with a paintbrush. So this is a blending brush that I made myself. So it was a paintbrush that had seen better days. The bristles had started to separate and wasn't performing the way that it was designed to. So instead of throwing it away, I like to give it a new life. So I just give it a little haircut, and depending on the size of the brush, will give you the different sizes of blending brushes afterwards. So I just cut it right down to as close as I can to the metal part, but with some bristles to still move paint around, and I get myself a little blending brush. This blending brush I'm using now, I actually purchased from Amazon. There's a link in the description below if you want to get your hands on your own. They come in 3 sizes. However, they don't come in very small sizes. So that's why I make my own that are really, really tiny so I can get into small places that I need to blend it. So, I'm also using, this is Jack-O-Lantern Orange by DecoArt. And I'm just putting it on all over the place, but I'm not putting it so that it is covering the entire dark orange. I want that dark orange to kind of shine through a little bit, but it gives it depth. So it's just showing some of the dark fur come out with this lighter fur on top. And then I'm going to go in with an even lighter orange to give the light effects. And then this is going to end up being the shadow. So as I was just talking about, I'm now putting in some Tangerine. It's by Craft Smart. You can get that at Michael's. And I just put it on and then I blend it into the already wet paint that is on there that I just did. So that would be the Tangerine and the Jack-O-Lantern orange mixing together, but leaving the edge of the Tangerine to be, it's almost like a very thin line. So my hand's in the way, but you'll see in a moment that, see how I'm blending it in, but I'm leaving that little line. It's so tiny, but it just defines the edge of the ear. And then now I'm going back in with the original poppy orange to make the shadows. So it's just a matter of blending until you get it just right and that you're happy with it. Here's a little trick for you. So I want the nose to look 3D, that it's protruding from his face, because that's how foxes' noses are. So I put on that tangerine orange in an arc, or like a slight curve, and then I blend it out. So that gives the illusion that it is actually sticking out from his face. And that's exactly what I was going for. So that's just a little tip. Don't put the line on or the paint on in a straight line. Make sure that it's curved. So that way you can see the contour of the actual nose or whatever it is that you're painting. So I'm still just doing the blending here, putting on the tangerine, using my very tiny blending brush. Again, this one I've made. Putting it or blending it in with that tangerine orange mixed with the jack-o'-lantern orange. Nope, sorry. Yes, it was jack-o'-lantern orange. I'm doing my best, folks, trying to remember all of these colors and when I use them so I can give you the details as to what I'm doing. And sometimes I don't always remember, but do know that I put all of the colors and their brand names in the description below. So if I do forget to mention something, or you're interested in seeing what I used afterwards, you can always go there and check it out. So I'm just going back with some of that poppy orange and I'm putting it on the edge of his nose, and I'm blending that out so that it gives shadows on either side of his nose. And now I'm going back to the light sources while that dries. So just doing his ear again, or I guess it's the other ear, and I'm just blending, doing the same thing over and over, uh, doing the light color and then adding in the darker color, and then just blending them in together. And like I said, it just really makes it look like fur. And with having the light sources, maybe I should have put a moon in there and then you'd really know where the light sources were coming from. But uh, it really helps make him look so adorable. And it's actually very simple to do. You just got to have some patience and work the paint. If it does start to dry a little bit on you, it will lift off of your drawing there or your painting. Just spritz it with a little tiny bit of water. That's all you got to do. So now I've just added his eyes so you can no longer see the starry background through his head. I just put on some black dots, and I use some of my dotting tools. I get my dotting tools from the Dotting Center, and if you're interested, there is a link in the description below, and I have a discount code. So you can purchase your own and use my discount code, and you'll get 10% off. So definitely go and check her out. She's got a lot of great stuff. So this color here that I'm using, I mixed myself. So it's not coming out of a jar. It's the poppy orange mixed with the most teeniest amount of black. And it's just to make it a little bit darker because that's what I'm going to do the inside of the ears as that color. I also use this color for some of the outlining, which you'll see a little bit later. But I just use it for making the inside of his ears because they're a little bit darker. So I did that, and then while all that is drying, I move on to something else that is already dry, and that's his nose. So I'm putting his nose on, and I wasn't extremely happy with how his nose went on. What happened was my paint was a little bit too thick. So when I was trying to do fine lines, it was blobbing. So, and it happens, but it's really easy to fix with acrylic paint. You just wait for it to dry, and then you can paint over top of it and fix it up. Another thing you can do as well is if your paint is a little bit thick, just add a little tiny bit of water, just like a drop or two, and that will thin it out again for you, and it will definitely do the fine lines that you need it to do. And it's just a really easy tip. So I always have a water bottle nearby so that I can give it a little spritz and keep my paint going. And this is where I'm using the outlining or of that darker color because I know that's where I want to put his eyebrows. So they're just sort of like a starting point. And I wanted to give him a little bit higher cheekbones with his fur. So I'm just going in with some more of the white paint. And I know I'm going to have to do this again because it is going over top of a dark background. But you know what? It's just something that you can do. And really, it just keeps it very, very fresh. And I find that, especially with white paint, the more coats that you do, I find the more bright it is. So I don't know if it's because it's just really blocking out the background colors and it gets brighter, or I don't know. But I really like doing a lot of coats of white just to make everything else stand out really nicely. So I'm just painting on with a paintbrush. There are paint strokes, but here I am with another one of my blending brushes that I cut up. I use this one a lot in my landscape paintings because it's got all of those little pieces of bristles that sort of float wherever they want to. And when they grab paint and you dab it on, it gives the look of like like fuzzy fur in this case, but I use it in my landscaping ones as well. So like my landscaping paintings, because it really gives the, or it's really good for doing leaves on trees and bushes and things like that. Because you can double load it and have the darker color in the center, and then the outer bristles then have the lighter color. So it just sort of adds the depth all in one shot. If you're interested in learning this technique, just leave a comment below, and I can do a really quick landscape tutorial and show you how you can manipulate the paint and using different brush types and really get that effect that you're looking for with very little effort. I do a lot of my landscape rocks on my Mad River rocks, and I don't usually film them because they do take me a lot longer to paint. But I'd be totally up for putting them on here so that I can teach you some of the tips and tricks that I use in doing landscape. So just leave me a comment below. So I added a little bit of a white patch on his nose to, again, with the light source, added some whiskers, and then I've got to put in those bright green eyes for my little fox guy. I'm using one of my newly purchased fine lining brushes, and I know I had talked about them in, I think it was a couple of tutorials ago, that I got them, that I believed I got them on Amazon, but I did not. I got these little guys on Temu. So that's another place where you can certainly get some of your crafting supplies. So, and I'm in love with these. They can do fine lines so well. So you may have noticed too that when I was doing his eyes there, that I used my paintbrush and pointed it at the one that I'd already finished, and then in the air I drew an imaginary line so that I could get the 2 points lined up on his eyes. I've never been really good to do eyes symmetrical, but I think I'm darn close on this one. So that's just another tip that I do in order to help me to make sure that certain parts of my painting that require to be in sort of symmetrical, that's how I do it. Now I'm just adding a little bit of black tips to his ears, and I'm just letting that paintbrush drag the paint down into the orange, letting some of the orange shine through, so that it looks like the black hair is sort of fading down into the dark hair. So now I'm just using that same color that was mixed, my pre-mixture there, that for the inside of the ears, to give a little bit of illusion, I guess, or to provide some hair for this guy. So I'm just using the same fine brush that I've been using, and I'm just wisping. So I'm really quickly flicking my paintbrush so that I can get these little, I guess, little striations, I guess, or like little flicks of paint to give the idea of fur. So that's what I was doing there, and I continue to do this. I also do his eyebrows as well. So because he's got to have eyebrows, that's how he can show emotion, right? Anyways, so I'm finishing that up. Just adding in some subtle outlines, that sort of thing. Adding some shading and making him look absolutely adorable. So the green that I used in his eyes, I used holiday green, and then I'm going to go over top and I'm going to use apple tart just to give him a little bit more of a bright eye. And then I give him a black pupil and then a little white spot again for the light source. So if you're new to the channel, I know I'm late saying this, but make sure you subscribe. And if you like the video, give me a thumbs up and ring the bell. because, you know, you'll get a notification every time I post something new. And I've got a new one coming out in the next few days that is in my moon series. So stick around for that. So that's it. I finished it up. I let it dry, give it a coat of resin, and it's finished. So there you have it, folks. Life is what you make it. So get creative.